Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Be Green with Amy. I'm Amy. After adopting a whole food plant-based lifestyle, my hubby Rick and I lost over 130 pounds. Now I coach others on their plant-based journey. Just Task Voice. Let's welcome our guest.
Sia Hurst, a graduate of the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies and E. Cornell, is an expert in plant-based nutrition, intermittent fasting, and gut health. She is also a published author and a member of several professional health associations, including the NHA and the Association of Naturopathic Practitioners. Please click like to help Be Green with Amy. Welcome, Sia Hurst.
Greetings, Green Warrior, and welcome, Sia.
Hi, Amy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy that you're here. And Green Warrior, are you ready to be inspired? Because Sia is going to share her powerful story from battling through the depths of grief and hopelessness to finding light and transformation through a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Sia's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And I know that you're all going to be enlightened and inspired by her story. I'm going to start off with our game of true or false.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Sorry, I just had to dance a little bit.
It's fun.
It is. Just Task Boys changed that around for me, and she put that up, so I'm enjoying the new music. Okay.
I love it.
So, Green Warrior, type in your guess. True or false, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Okay, type in what you think the answer is. And Sia, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, breakfast, break fast, is the most important meal of the day. What doesn't matter is what time you eat it. What matters is that you break your fast well. You break it with nutrition, nutrient dense, calorie low. You break it mostly raw, and hopefully you break it with some bitter greens to activate the digestive juices in your stomach so it can accept protein and glucose, bigger molecules. So breakfast is the most important meal when you eat it. And when you eat it is up to you.
I like how you brought up the bitter greens. Recently, I was listening to some kind of a podcast, and they were talking about that and talking about how it's important to incorporate that into the meal. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Bitter greens in first thing in the morning are a wonderful way to break your fast. And then it's important to remember that no matter what time you break your fast, you need to be consistent. It can't be 10 a.m. one day, noon the next, 1 the next day. Your body will read that as inconsistent, and it will start to hoard the calories and hang on to them. Consistency is key with intermittent fasting. Back to the bitter greens. Bitter greens stimulate the release of hydrochloric acid from your goblet cells in your stomach, which help to digest proteins. Protein is an enormous molecule. So when you eat protein-rich foods first thing in the morning, and when you break your fast, rather, your stomach isn't really prepared to digest those things so quickly and so easily. So what happens is the protein molecule doesn't get broken down adequately enough. It goes through the duodenum into the small intestine where it gets stuck. It can get stuck in the small intestines. It can get stuck in the large intestine, but it's going to get stuck somewhere because it's too big. And what happens when it gets stuck is it starts to ferment in that small intestine. And when it ferments, it starts to attract stickiness. And that stickiness can lead to blockages and gas and cramping and bloating and even nastier things if that fermented protein doesn't pass through your gastrointestinal tract in time before it becomes toxic. So it's really important to be able to break down those larger molecules in our nutrients. And we do that by preparing our digestive system adequately with our break fast.
I love that. Now, bitter greens, right? Is that something that's different for everybody, what they might consider bitter greens to be?
Well, there's a category of greens that are known as bitter greens, but there are quite a few options in that list. So you can choose the ones that you like. So arugula is a lovely bitter green, but so is chard. So you can choose one of those, but you can easily Google bitter greens. It'll give you the full list, and then you can pick the ones that you like the best. I prefer arugula because I like peppery flavor, so I have that in the morning.
Oh, that's a nice one, and it's
Yeah, I
easy
like
to
that.
find.
Mm.
So do you like to do that before each meal or just when you're breaking your fast?
Just when I break my fast, and then in the subsequent meals throughout the day, in my eating window, um, I will have anything I'm eating over a bed of greens. So I take like 2 to 3 cups of greens, whatever they are. I try to get different kinds throughout the day, and then I just chop them up. I learned that from Tammy, and I just chop them up as small as I can. Because truth be known, I'm just not a salad fan. Never have been. Not sure I ever will be. But I do love to what I call sneaky Pete ingredients that I'm not a fan of into every meal that I need. And greens are one of those. So I chop it up small and then just cover it with fruit or a cooked dish or something like that. So I'm getting the greens.
Right. Yeah, it's very important to get those greens in, and I think oftentimes people skip over that. For
Yeah,
me, I feel that the salad is the main dish because I learned that from Dr. Joel Furman, who's gonna be a guest coming
right.
up next time,
Ooh,
and, yeah, so I've been doing this since 2012, so I have gotten used to that, having so
sure.
my salad weighs about a pound. And I have
Right.
that
Yeah.
before I even eat anything else, and, because what they say is your salad should be something where somebody would say, "You is that all for you? Are you eating that?"
I agree. I agree with that completely,
Right,
completely.
and
But like you said, not everybody gets the greens. So it's
mhm,
important to realize that there are ways you can sneak greens into your meals on a daily basis until such time that you can eat a big salad. I can eat a salad now, but I need a lot of ingredients on it. Like I
yeah.
need a lot of stuff with the lettuce. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful because there is just
exactly.
so many things that you can put in a salad, and I put cooked mushrooms in mine, and I put
Mm.
beans in mine, and I put fruit on the bottom because that's just like the end of my salad, which I like too, but my husband mixes it all up. But I too like to chop up the greens very small, and it's less chewing. And
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. Well, that was great. See, we already learned something. I'm sure that the Green Warriors have already learned something, and we haven't even been in here very long. Okay, so let's do another true or false. True or
Okay.
false, intermittent fasting practice is a great way to lose weight, but it cannot be sustained healthfully as a lifestyle. Okay, Green
Yeah.
Warrior, what do you think? And then Sia, tell us about that.
Most assuredly false. Most assuredly false, not a doubt in my mind about that. Intermittent fasting is the way our bodies are built. We are built to digest for longer than we are built to eat on any given 24-hour period. Our body needs a lot of time to digest the foods we eat, especially if we're eating a lot of cooked foods. I refer to Dr. Clapper's telling us 75% raw all the time, because it's better on our digestive system. But if we're eating a lot of cooked foods, we need time. Even if we're not, we still need time. Your body needs time to not only digest the food that's in your digestive tract, it also needs time to use that food, to go and repair cells, to go and repair tissues, to hunt out infiltrates in your blood or in your lymph so that your immunity can go and send the macrophages to eat it up and take it all away. This takes time and it takes a lot of energy, and your body's going to use all the food that you ate during this process. So we need a nice, consistent window where we're not eating, we're not taking in calories every single day. And that's different for everybody, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever fits your lifestyle. But Dr. Goldhammer tells us a minimum of 12 hours a day. And if once you get into the groove and you see the benefits of intermittent fasting, you'll extend that fasting window. It's just a natural evolution when you start practicing this. Can it be lived as a lifestyle? It most assuredly can be lived as a lifestyle. I have been living with intermittent fasting longer than I even have known the acronym WFPB. I didn't know whole food plant-based. I had no idea what SOS free was, but I did know what intermittent fasting was. And it helped me drop the first 50 pounds of my weight without making any dietary changes whatsoever. Moreover, I have found that when I let go of my intermittent fasting, I'm not as consistent as I want to be, but my food's perfect, I still gain weight. I still gain weight. But when my intermittent fasting is consistent, like right on the money, I can play around with the food a little bit and I still lose weight. So there's something in intermittent fasting, and that something is proper digestion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the food industry or somebody had made that you have to eat every few hours. I mean, even physicians are recommending this to a lot of their patients,
Sure.
make sure you eat small, tiny meals every few hours, and
Well,
yeah.
it's not ideal, but it is beneficial. Now, you have to keep in mind where that advice is going, to whom where's the audience on that. So if you're looking at a typical SAD eater who is consuming copious amounts of calories on a given day, and a lot of those are processed or fat, just limiting their meals to smaller meals multiple times throughout the day, that alone has a shift on what you choose to eat, because a little meal isn't a burger and fries. So you already have to choose something different. So it works for the right audience. But once you've transitioned and you're living a plant-based lifestyle, it behooves each of us to understand our physiology and what we can do to live optimally while having whole plants as our nutrition. And that's where intermittent fasting comes in.
Yeah, very good, very good. Lots of great information, guys. I have to watch this again just to get it all absorbed. Okay, let's go. We have some more true or false questions. And Boomer and Beyond Wellness may be interested in this one. True or false, training during intermittent fasting window can increase glucose tolerance, reduce insulin sensitivity, increase abdominal fat, burning blood flow, and increase muscle building with strength exercise. Okay, that was a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Think about that, Green Warriors, and type in your guess, and let's see what you say. Go ahead.
Well, so far the answers are pretty good. Everyone's pretty spot
Yeah.
on. So that's a good thing. And thank you, Angela, about the video that Kathy and I did. Very nice shout out there. Appreciate that. Training during intermittent fasting is some of the best training you can do. Your body is really ready to burn that fat. Why? It's used up all of the glucose. So that's going to stimulate your pancreas to release glucagon. Your liver is going to convert that to glycogen, and that's going to go in your blood system. You're going to have that extra glucose. This reduces insulin sensitivity, and the fat burning that's going to happen is going to go right to that. If you're doing cardio and things, it's going to go right to that belly fat, and it's a beautiful thing. Just kind of melts off. As far as muscle, most assuredly, this is prime time to build lean muscle, not bulk muscle. Bulk muscle, you should be in the feeding state. Lean muscle, you want to be in the fasting state when you work out.
Right. Now, we're not talking about water fasting for extended periods of time, right?
Absolutely not. We're talking about intermittent fasting.
Yes. Yeah. Because if you were doing water fasting, hopefully you'd be medically supervised, and you definitely wouldn't want to do any kind of exercise.
No, absolutely. Once you're past like the 24-hour mark of fasting, settle in, enjoy the ride, and drink the water and rest. Your body is doing almighty work inside. Allow it the chance to do that.
Right. Yeah, because your body can't do it all at once. Can't navigate movement and thinking while it's trying to fast. So yeah, let it do its job. Okay, very good. And let's see, we did have. I'm going to see if we did had some comments. So okay, so this came before we brought it up. So that I don't know if this applies still. But Boomer and Beyond Wellness said, has Sia ever put to use exercise to help her through the dark times? I asked because I definitely found it to be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The release of endorphins and dopamine after an intense workout just improves mental health. It improves your mental mood. It improves the production of serotonin in your gut, brings alive those critters. So it's, yeah, definitely I've used exercise, and I continue to use exercise to boost my moods. Yeah.
Yeah. I often like whenever I talk about exercise on the show, I often like to bring this up from my personal experience. A lot of my clients will say, exercise. I don't get these endorphins. I don't get this feel, you know, and I think that maybe some people aren't aware of it, that it's happening but
Mm,
it is happening. So I like to use my personal experience that one time I was exercising, and then I got an important phone call. So I just don't answer. I just finish up and do it, but it was important. So I paused my exercise because I do it on a little video thing. So I paused
mhm.
it, and while I was answering the call, I felt tingling all over my body, which was happening while I was exercising, but I wasn't aware of it,
Right.
and I could just feel the blood like rushing to my face. I could, it wasn't like I was doing intense workout. I was just exercising. So all sometimes you may not be aware of these good feelings and things that are going on in your body because you're in the middle of thinking about, oh, this is hard. I don't want to be here, or whatever you might be thinking at the time. But but over time, I have noticed, and because I try to do something every day, because if I
Mhm.
skip a day, I could just end it all and not go back to it.
You're
So I,
right. Yeah, I mean, with good habits and stuff, it says never miss 2 days, you know?
Mhm.
A friend of mine, Melissa Cotton, shared that with me, and just don't ever miss 2 days. But I feel like I probably should clarify, um, there are all kinds of ways to exercise, you guys. You know what I mean? Move your body, dance,
Yes.
go for a walk, plant some flowers, bend over, pet a cat, anything to get your body moving. Just jump up and down and move your arms up and down, whatever it takes. Just move. Get moving every day. And then the more you move, then you can start thinking about, okay, I want to do cardio and I want to do this. But first, just move, and move with joy. Move
Mhm.
with joy. And then the endorphins will come.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what the old question is, what kind of exercise should I do? And it's the one that you like,
Yeah.
and
The
it
one
doesn't
the
have.
one that you'll do every day, or
Yeah,
often.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And Boomer and Beyond Wellness said it's precisely why I have been off psychotropic
Mm,
drugs for almost 8 years. I was on them for 25, 28 years, to my great detriment.
wow.
Make sure you work with your medical practitioner during the process. So, yeah,
Well,
and Angela Fischetti, Boomer and Beyond Wellness, comes on the show often, and she'll be
yeah.
coming up soon again, and she does wonderful exercise routines for us. I even have a special playlist on my YouTube channel just with her videos of demonstrating from beginner to advanced. So if you want to find a good exercise workout, she's got all kinds on, and of course on her YouTube channel as well. So it's there's something for everybody. Absolutely.
I agree. Even 6D's YouTube channel has Angela a playlist that we love. So
Oh, see?
yeah,
So there's no
she's
excuse. It's
fantastic.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. You've got to get together with Angela.
Okay. So let's go with our next true or false. Get ready, Green Warriors. True or false? When transitioning to a whole plant lifestyle, it's best to eat a large variety of different fruits, veggies, grains, beans, nuts, seeds each day to ensure optimal and efficient transition, period.
Mm.
Okay. Put in your guess and Sia, tell us about that.
Hmm. We know from Dr. Bolshevitz, from
Oh,
Fiber Fueled, we want to be getting at least 35 different plants a day. I mean, a week, pardon me. 35 different plants a week. The thing is, he also tells us take it slow. Don't rock and roll right away. So if you're transitioning, it's better to take it slow your roll. Don't jump to 35. Don't go from 4 a week to 35. Your microbiome will not be happy. Your critters will not be ready. They will not be awake to process all of that food. So when transitioning, take it slow, be simple, and slowly add in more and more plants with every week. So if your first week you can do 10 different plants, great. Do 10 different plants. The next week, add a few more, with the idea that eventually you're going to get up to 35 different plants a week. And then you can get into the rock and roll zone and get 35 different plants. And the next week, 35 other different plants. And then you can mix and match. Remember, your critters want a specific food. So eating the same things all the time is not a balanced microbiome. We need diversity, but we need to get there slowly.
Very well said. Yes. And Dr. Bulsiewicz, that's what he says. Variety of plants, variety of plants, variety of plants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But he also says, slow your roll. Don't go fast, because
that's right.
You'll be running to a special room in your house if you go too quickly with this.
Yes.
And you don't want that.
Absolutely. Yep. And chew your food to a cream. That's another thing
that
we hear.
Yeah. We say chew your food and drink your juice. So sorry, drink your food and chew your juice.
Yeah,
drink your food and chew your juice. So yeah,
I like that one. That's a good one. I will have.
Yeah, if I can remember it, it sounds great.
Okay, we have one more true or false question, and then we're going to be talking about Sia's health journey, which is going to be interesting. And again, if you have any questions or comments, just pop them in the chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So, Green Warriors, true or false? Body mass index, BMI, is the most optimal way to ensure that our weight is normal. Okay, tell us what you think. And Sia, tell us about that.
BMI is very helpful, and it is but one measurement for optimal weight for our bodies. Dr. Greger tells us that BMI plus waist circumference is a better way to measure that out. So, and then we need to add another qualifier to BMI. You can have a low BMI, but that doesn't mean your body composition is correct. You could have high fat, low muscle, low bone mass, low water, and still have a low BMI. So BMI is not the end-all be-all tool. It is one of the tools in our toolbox, including with waist circumference, body composition scales, and if needed, a DEXA. But the body composition scales you can get for your home, they're not like a DEXA, but they're excellent for helping you track. So in other words, if your body composition scale is off by a couple of points, it's like your home weight, your home scale for weight. It might be off, but it's going to be consistently off. So at least you can track, are you gaining muscle, losing fat? And then when you're ready, you can have a DEXA to really analyze where your fat is, where your muscle is. So it's BMI, body composition, and waist circumference. So those three are the three tools that we need to decide if our weight is optimal for our life.
And just to clarify for the Green Warriors, DEXA would be DEXA scan, which is something that is often used to diagnose osteoporosis. So
correct.
Would we have access to something like that?
I think so. I think you have access in the United States. Definitely in Europe, we have access. And the DEXA scan can either do bones or body composition. So they can recalibrate it. It's a different program, different software, same machine. So you can have it for body fat and muscle mass, or bones to check for osteopenia and osteoporosis. Both of which are very useful in understanding what our bodies are made up of and what their current state of skeletal muscle is. And this is a very big indicator of health and longevity. So it's important information to have. I think you guys in the United States need a referral from a doctor to get a DEXA scan, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And True North Health, they actually have the machine there too. And they have found it useful for their studies, their research, and a lot of things. So it's very interesting to because oftentimes people think of that just as a tool for bone density. And
Yeah,
so
and it's a great tool for bone density as well. It's fantastic for both, for understanding the makeup of your body.
yeah. So, Boomer Beyond Wellness, who also
Yeah.
came on the show and talked about how she reversed her osteoporosis, said it's not included on an osteoporosis scan. It's typically not covered under Medicare plans to have the body fat analysis.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but
Yeah.
it's a good tool, and if you ever go to True North, you definitely have access to it there. And hopefully in the
Absolutely.
future, they'll do insurance as by how healthy you are, and not the way that they're doing it now. And maybe that'll be a tool that they can use. But it's very interesting, all this research and the things that we're learning about health and
Mm.
everything. Yeah. Okay. So let me just check on the chat to see. Okay. So I think we're going to be good. We still have some questions, but we're going to bring them up later because I really would like to hear what you have to say about your health journey and things that you talked about. You talked about so we're going to be talking about today the secret to sustainable weight loss, and we're going to talk probably more about intermittent fasting, and just tell us about your health journey, Sia.
All right. Thanks. Um, I guess I guess this new leg of my health journey, because my whole life has been in and out of health or non-health, as it were. Um, this new leg of my health journey started probably in 2014. I was 2015. I was really, really overweight, somewhere around there. I mean, really heavy, and I was very, very frustrated, and I didn't know what to do. So some friends of mine just, told me about alkaline acid diet. So I looked into that a little bit. Then another friend of mine said, no, you got to go raw, you got to go vegan. So I tried that a little bit. And then I went back to vegetarian. And as you can guess, I went back and forth for about 4 years until about 2017, 2018. And didn't really have any success with it. The only thing that helped me consistently was around 2017 early. I started intermittent fasting as a daily practice. And then 2017 to 2018, I saw a lot of weight come off, and then in 2018, my father died. And it was a very traumatic experience for for him and for all of us. It was gruesome and ugly, the disease that took his life. And I didn't deal with it very well, to be honest. I didn't deal with it well at all. And at some point I realized that, this I wasn't living my life, and that was really antithetical to my father's zest for life. So I started looking for just like something to bring me out of that darkness that I was in. So I found I turned on the television. Of course, I needed a distraction, something to occupy my mind. So I turned on the television, and I found TED Talks, and then some other documentaries. Long story, very long story, little less long. And I found Dr. Greger, Dr. Campbell, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Clapper, slowly. And slowly they each turned on a little bit of light, a little bit of light, a little bit of light, a little bit of hope, a solution, an answer, a truth. And I grabbed it with every ounce of my being. I grabbed onto that little bit of light, a little bit of hope, and I followed it. And I completed the T. Colin Campbell Center. I went on to Cornell to finish their 6-month nutrition and healthy living certification, and did some other studies, certifications, and I just kept getting into it more and more. And then I read The Pleasure Trap. At this point, I was whole food plant-based. I hadn't heard of SOS Free yet. And I read The Pleasure Trap. So for about a year, I was playing around with the transition time. And I went to True North in 2019. And that's where I heard SOS and wasn't really impressed. There's no way.
Pause you for a second. So The Pleasure Trap is a book that was written by Dr. Alan
Yes.
Goldhammer, and also Dr. Doug Lyle, and it talks about how these foods that are corrupted, is what I say, they're frankenfoods that we're exposed to every day. They really do mess with our brain chemistry, and they're designed to do that. And
Absolutely.
until our primitive brain can't fight it off. So and then Dr. Goldhammer runs the True North Center, and he does healthy living there as well as water only fasting. And so that's a place that you can go if you need a reset. There's some other places also, but that's one of the places that you can go to for that. So I just wanted to catch up people in case not everybody watching knows. And then the other thing I wanted to say was SOS, because a lot of people say it, not everybody knows what that is. And I am SOS free, but why don't you tell us what SOS is, so this way everybody can
it was
that.
Salt, oil, and sugar. And so I get to True North and they tell me there's no salt, there's no oil, there's no sugar. And I thought, I cannot believe I flew here from Greece for this. This is bonkers. And I thought, all right, fine. They gave me a meal the night I came in, and I was like, oh, I actually called my husband. I'm like, if I have to eat this, I'm not going to make it. This is ridiculous. This is the most tasteless food I've ever had in my life. And then the next day I started my fast. And I'm, finished my fast, and they give me, the program of breaking the fast and everything. And by the time I was able to eat a full meal, I was in heaven. I had 2 plates piled high like this. I was like, I'm totally eating all of this. This is the most amazing.
And it has no sugar, oil, or salt in it. And you're like,
I was over the moon. I was like, this is the best food ever. What happened? So it was quite a transformation, and it happened in days. And that really astounded me. And I remember I had a conversation with one lady there, and she told me, hummus without oil. I'm Greek. I was like, no, stop, just stop. There's no way I'm ever making hummus without olive oil. Just don't, just let it go. And I do. I don't use olive oil anymore. I learned, my palate has changed, and, it was quite a transformation. And so, I came to it all very slowly. I came to it imperfectly. I came to it with hurdles and bumps in the road. And all I just kept remembering was, you know what? Dr. Greger said, I get another chance tomorrow. I get another chance with the next fork. I get another chance with the next meal. And as long as I kept that in mind, I was able to not always be perfect, but always come back to that idea and clean up. And I've seen amazing things happen in my body over the last few years. I have experienced an amazing thing this very week with my body and its healing powers to heal itself. And every time it happens, it's like, I can't believe how powerful this stuff is. It's every single time. And it happens over and over and over. It's amazing.
Tell us, how much weight did you release?
I released just over 100 pounds.
That's just so. My husband, as you saw in the intro, he lost over that too, and it's amazing because when people release that amount of weight, typically within a year they gain it all back and then some.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely haven't gained any of it back. I mean, okay, I'm a little puffy right now, but I know why. And it has to do with the injury that I had that blew my mind this week with the power of food. So I understand what's happening, and I know that it will reverse itself. And I also know that no matter what happens to me, and I keep getting reminded of this, I have the healing power in my body. My body knows how to do it. I just have to get out of its way and stop interfering. Yeah.
It's that simple. Then people don't realize it. I always think about, and I've said it before on the show, we walk around and we're moving and we're doing all these things, and all this miraculous things are happening inside of our body on a molecular level. We're not plugged into anything.
Right. Exactly.
Somehow these things are happening, but basically it's what we eat or don't eat that makes us. And what we eat, good or bad, makes us. Because cells are dividing as we speak, and things are dying off, and things are being born, and whatever we're feeding it, that's what's going to determine how it all goes with our health. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Dr. Campbell tells us, it's, you could have the gene, genetics, load the gun,
life,
lifestyle pulls the trigger.
yeah.
So, and Dr. Ornish and Dr. Greger and How Not to Age, his new book, and Dr. Ornish and Undo It both share with us that longevity and optimal health is not just the food. It's lifestyle, it's balance, it's having time for quiet meditation, breath work, it's connecting with other living things, socializing. You need to have a balance in your life of all the different dimensions of your life. That's what 6D is, 6 dimensions of your life. So we balance out those things and make sure we pay attention to all of those. That's where optimal health and longevity lie.
Yeah, and that's so important to know that, because
Yeah.
oftentimes people find out about the whole food plant-based lifestyle and they think, okay, if I do this, everything's going to be great. And
No.
oftentimes people do see miraculous things happen, but it's not all. And then if you don't see it happening, or you don't see it in an optimal way, you really have to consider these other dimensions of health.
Yeah.
And even so, I also have a guest that I have on monthly, Dr. Peter Rogers, and he brings up the environment and our exposure to toxins and things like that. So there's just a really big package here. There's a lot to learn, and you can learn a lot from Sia and what she does, and she's going to tell us about that a little bit later in the broadcast. And you can, practice the exercising. That's why I have Angela Fischetti from Boomer Beyond Wellness come on, and you have her on your channel too, because we know that this is so important. And as much as we are committed to this lifestyle of eating, it is a lifestyle, and there's
Yeah.
other elements to it, which is really good to know. So
Absolutely.
that's just amazing. That I wanted to kind of back up a little bit, because you were coming from a place of a pit of despair. I mean, this is what you had
Yeah.
to experience, right? I mean, even now, I saw that you were affected, and then it got to me to watch you. And of course, we can all relate because we've had losses in our lives. But that is typically a time when people turn to bad food, they turn to doing bad things to themselves,
Yeah.
to numb out the pain or whatever
That's
they
right.
do. And for you to take that time of all times, plus for the fact that you had weight that you needed to release, that I find just so interesting about, that you were decided to do that.
Yeah. There wasn't a choice. It really, I mean, obviously there was a choice because we
Yeah.
all make choices every
Mhm.
moment. So, but it didn't feel like there was a choice because it was either grasp that little light of hope, or sit here in the corner of your living room for another day
Mm.
crying and not caring about your life. And again, it was really, my father was like, I'm not honoring him by doing this. I'm not honoring his life or his death by doing this with my own life. And so there was this strong need within to get well, but I didn't know how to begin. I mean, I was vegan. I wasn't heavy at that point. I had already, I'd lost quite a bit of weight, not the full 100, but close to it. And then, but I wasn't well. I
Right.
wasn't fit. I wasn't mentally well. I wasn't balanced. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking care of my family. I wasn't doing anything. And that's just antithetical to both my own life and the honoring my father's life. So I don't know what would have happened, what choice I would have made had I not tweaked on Dr. Greger. Honestly, he was the first one.
Yeah.
And, he lit that first light of hope for me. And it saved my life, literally.
Mm.
That's not a figure of speech. I don't, had I progressed where I was, I don't think I would
Yeah.
still be here today.
Yeah. And it's just
Mm.
so inspiring. I hope that people that are watching the Green Warriors, if some of them are on the fence about uh, adopting this lifestyle or being more committed to it. And we always have the little voice in our head saying, this is not the right time. We have this going on, or, maybe after this holiday. I mean, there's always an excuse to put it off and to start. And
Sure.
you had the great excuses not to do anything about anything, because you was like, I'm
Yeah.
not feeling like this right now and I don't want to. So,
Right.
but you,
Yeah,
but you
completely. Yeah.
did. Yeah. So, I hope that they can glean some inspiration. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's continue on and
Sure.
tell us more.
Um, my journey after that was just really exploring um, the why. Why is this good for me? What's happening in my body? And that led me to the College of Naturopathic Medicine, where I studied biomedicine. So I started learning about the physiology and the anatomy of the body, different pathologies, pathophysiologies, things like that. And it helped me understand what was happening when I ate broccoli, what was happening, what organs were impacted, how were they impacted. And to be quite honest, I've never been much of a science person, but I was fascinated and I just dove in head first. And from that came all of our programs at 6D and our seminars, our classes. And it's helped me to understand, for example, with the injury that I suffered this week, as soon as I figured out what it was, it helped me. I knew immediately what I had to do. In other words, I knew which foods were going to address these symptoms and the cause of those symptoms. So I just pushed those foods. And what went from a predicted healing time of minimum 3 weeks in a sling, and I had a sling on earlier today, but my arm is mobile. And it
Wow.
took 3 days, not 3 weeks in a sling. But that's because I knew something about my body and what was happening. So I'm really grateful that I dove in like that, and I feel more not confident, but I feel more assured about my choices. Like I know why I'm choosing the apricots. I know why I'm choosing the goji berries. I know why I'm choosing the leafy greens and the nitrates and the starchy vegetables. And I know what they're doing inside my body. I know why I intermittent fast. I know what's happening in my body. And that helps me feel more empowered over my choices. Knowledge empowers me, and it empowers all of us. And the more I am empowered by it, the more I apply it, and then that knowledge becomes wisdom because it's in practice. And so I feel like the more I put the knowledge to work for me, the wiser and more optimal my life will be. Not necessarily me, because I mess up all the time, but at least I'll know why I'm messing up.
Yeah, it's so nice to know what's going on in your body and at least have an idea. And I think there's so many people that look at food as something to recreate with. And oh, you can't, you're not going to eat that anymore. Well, what will you do? And meanwhile, I mean, because I try to be very present when I'm eating. I don't stand and eat. People eat over the kitchen sink. I don't know how that happens, but people, I guess that's how they do it. I sit down at a table and I eat, and my husband joins me. And before we start eating, we talk about how grateful that we are to have the food in front of us. And that can be a religious experience or it can just be gratitude, however somebody would want to present that for themselves. And then I look at all the food in front of me and I think about it and how amazing that this started as a seed and it divided and then all of a sudden it's this you know, beautiful object in front of me, and then I know that it's gonna go coursing through my bloodstream and into my gut, and just thinking, and that's what I'm thinking about when I'm eating. And like you, I'm SOS free, so I am still enjoying the flavor of the food, but that's not the whole reason for being there at the meal. It's because
Right,
I'm
right.
right?
It's a more balanced reason. There's a
Yeah.
social part of it. There's an intrapersonal part of it where you're being mindful when you're eating.
Mhm.
That's its form of meditation, meditating on your food and being grateful, giving gratitude for the nutrition and its health-giving components. And sharing that time with someone you care about. So you're making contact with this is balance. These are the
Yeah.
6 dimensions in practice. So it's incredible how often we do these things without realizing the power that's in them. And that mindfulness is fantastic. Fantastic. I do love the question, what are you going to eat now? I mean, you got 4 dead animals you can choose from or
Mhm.
thousands of plants. I don't know. I think I'm going to eat the
Mhm.
plants. I got more
Yeah.
variety.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
until you adopt the lifestyle and try out all these things, I remember the first time I had fennel. I had never experienced fennel
Mhm.
before, and I tried it, and I said, "My goodness, this tastes like a hint of black licorice," which I never
Yeah.
liked. I never liked
Oh,
black licorice, but it's not a heavy taste. It's a light, very light taste. And I said, "But somehow I like this. Why do I like this?" And I never cared for black licorice. It was surprising to me. And just so all the things that I never had the opportunity well, I guess I had the opportunity, but I never gave myself the opportunity to taste all these different things. And such we're just so we are so fortunate that we have access to so
absolutely.
much of a variety of food that can really help us. I was
Definitely.
just grocery shopping today. We love to batch cook mushrooms.
Oh,
And I made
nice.
Yeah, I made a video about it. We do it without oil, and I'll take, green peppers, red peppers, and onions, and then sauté them, and then I'll throw in the mushrooms. And so when we buy mushrooms, we buy lots of mushrooms because we're gonna batch cook them. So so so, of course, the cashier is asking, "What are you going to do with all
What are you
these
doing with all these
mushrooms?"
mushrooms?
And because I've been doing it for so long, since 2012, I forget that
Sure.
it looks different to the mainstream people, but, I
Definitely.
forget that it looks that way. So, have to, think about how am I gonna answer this question, without blowing them away. But so so today I said I always have some kind of an answer for whatever people are saying, but today I think I said something about how, uh, that mushrooms have properties in them that are, similar to that of, cancer drugs.
Mm,
And,
yeah,
so
and
I
but more
thought
powerful and more efficacious than
yes,
chemo.
yes,
Yeah.
and,
So there's that part too.
I said, "So I eat them every day."
Excellent. Well done. Well done. It is that they have their own food group.
Yes, yes, and that
Indeed.
was something that I didn't eat much of those, but now I eat them, every day, every day. That's
Excellent.
part of my
Excellent.
salad.
They're very good for you.
Yeah. So let me just see if I have okay, so
Sure.
let's I'm gonna go look at the chat, and you can go ahead and continue on with what you were
About how my journey or
yeah.
about well then once I finished the school or actually it all kind of blends into 6D now. So that's where 6D came from was all of this learning and development and things like that. Because I had gone to like I said I went to True North in 2019 and I met a group of really lovely people there, some of whom I'm still friends with to this day, all these years later. And I had a bunch of books on my bookshelf that I wasn't reading. I had ordered everything once
Mhm.
I had first, and I just never started reading them. There's just so many. So I just asked a few people from our little True North group, "Do you guys want to get together and read some books?" So our little book club started that way. And then it grew and people invited friends and I was doing, modified fasting programs, but they were a little different then. They were a lot different then. And they've grown with research over the years. And so 60 just started growing organically. Like as people mentioned, like, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. We're like, all right, let's make a program, let's do it. And now, we've got a great team. And there are just a variety of book clubs and video clubs and free events. Angela's coming to teach us about movement and fighting osteoporosis next week, which is wonderful. We've got the team is all over the planet, from Malaysia to the East Coast to mountain. You guys, they're all over the place, which is fantastic. And everybody's kind of doing their thing and offering things, from artificial intelligence to why eat your greens. Really, we cover the gamut on our book clubs, video clubs, and our programs. We have classes about the 4 agreements, a full-on course that lasts 15 weeks on the 4 agreements. We have modified fasting programs. We have nutrition seminars every month to discuss recipes and what's in that recipe and what does it do to your body, what does it do to your cells. So we look at the science behind it. We just do a whole bunch of stuff that's really, really fun, and it's all about, everything we do is about bringing people together. Because if it was one thing I learned in transitioning, living in Greece, is I was very much alone. And I don't think I'm alone in feeling that way about transitioning or living this lifestyle. And so what 6D became is a community where we can all come together. We may not all be on the same page. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we show up for one another, that we're curious to learn from the science, from each other, and that we're open to each other's ideas. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. It's just support and just love in the community. And that's what we focus on. And it's working for us. We're small, but we're tight. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you told us about that. That's been quite a journey for you. And I'm going to look and see. I've had some live chats, and I've also had some people who had emailed in some questions. So let's just see what I've got. Okay. Oh, so James237 said, can you share any tips for managing emotional eating, especially during stressful times?
Yeah. Don't fight it. First and foremost, don't fight it, because that's going to release more cortisol in your body, and you don't need that during a stressful time. Choose wisely. So if you're going to emotionally eat, choose whole plants. So grab berries, grab an avocado, grab some nuts, because in stressful times, comfort food equals fat and it equals satiety. You want to fill up and you want to have some fat hit. Your body's craving that. Don't go for the junk food. Choose wisely. Feel the stress completely. When we feel things, it is so crucial that we feel it completely, understand it, live in it, and then release it. You felt it, you're done with it. Release it now. So if you fight it, you've never truly felt it. You can't release what you don't understand. So feel the emotion, don't fight it, eat whole plants, eat as much of them as you want. Don't worry about it right now. You're stressed. This isn't the time to be doing plant points or ticking boxes or anything like that. This is the time to give your body and your emotions what they need, and then let it go. Don't remain there. Feel it and let it go. And if you go to whole plants, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's very good. And that's true. It's important. And sometimes people feel that they need to cry and they fight tears. And the act of crying, it's almost like there's something built up inside of you. And when you do the act of crying, it kind of gets it out of you. But if you're holding back and not allowing yourself to cry, then you won't release it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very
cry, scream, yell, I mean, literally go to a rooftop and scream out. There's something really viscerally healing about oral release like that. And it's in chanting, it's in vocal release exercises. This is important. It releases a lot of that pent up stress and tension in the body. Feel it, do it, cry, whatever it is. And if you're gonna eat on emotions, just eat whole plants. You will be okay. Don't grab the chips.
Exactly. All right. Bella said, I'm dealing with family who are not supportive of dietary changes. How did you navigate these conversations and maintain your own choices? I didn't even ask you about your family and if everybody was on board.
Yeah, well, my family is me and my husband and our furry cats. And so, the cats, they're not vegan.
Of course not.
And I allow them to be cats, and I don't interfere with that. My husband is completely in this lifestyle and has been from the beginning. He transitioned with me, not because he knew about the science or was interested or even wanted to do this, not at all. But he transitioned with me because he saw that I needed that support, that I needed also this lifestyle. This was what was bringing me out of my depression and my grief. And so he was ready to hold me up in any way possible to make sure that I could start living again. And he did that by saying, I'm with you on this. Whatever it is, just tell me what it is, and I'm with you on it. Over time, he's become much more of a zealot than I am, which is really funny to me. But he's just like, no. And it's like, no. I love that. I love that he's found his own reason for living this lifestyle, that his own passion and his own science. He's not relying on me just saying, eat this, do this. Bella, unfortunately, I don't have any guidance from my own experience with other family members. We have no family here. It's just me and Dominic. So I don't even see my family except for maybe once a year. They live in Florida, and I go and visit them once a year. And I'm going soon, actually. And I'm excited about that. So when I'm with them, are they supportive? Absolutely. Do they judge me or criticize me? I don't think so. Not that I know of. They've never said anything to me. They've always said, are there vegan things like that. And they make sure that there's food in the cupboard. My mom's like, oh, there's beans and there's grains. And, my sister's like, I've got some cauliflower rice that I bought and stuff like that. So they're helpful in that. And I find that very nice. Is this their choice? No. And that's fine too, because you meet people and love people for where they are and where they're at. So I don't try to convince them, and they don't try to talk me out of it.
Right. And that's what I think about a lot, because I don't want somebody to tell me how to eat. So I need to not tell somebody else how to eat. They can just watch.
It's being respectful. Everybody makes their choices, and we need to respect that everybody has the freedom to make their own choices. Now, I dare say, I think Bella is probably talking about something closer to home, in her own home where she's struggling. And there are a lot of people in the 60 community who are in that situation. So whilst I can't empathize or give personal experience guidance, from the members of our community, from whom I've learned a great deal over the years, what seems to work best for them is to do what Amy was just saying. Just live it steadfast. In other words, if you're trying to live away and you wobble or falter or something, that's going to allow someone to say, well, you're not always like this, so you don't really believe it. When you find your path, your true idea of what you want to do with your life and how you want to live it, then hang on to that with everything you've got, because it's your life, your health. And like we say at 60, you got to choose your hard. Is it going to be hard to make the transition and make the beans and make all the food and learn how to do it all? Yeah. But if you don't, the other hard that you're making a choice to have is to sit in the doctor's office, make appointments, pay insurance, run around after paperwork, be in pain, take medication. So you choose your hard, man. You got to choose your hard.
Yeah.
And I chose mine, and it's not the doctor's office.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've answered your question satisfactorily. I don't think
I
you
think you
provided
did.
guidance, but
And I
I'm
think
sorry that
also,
you're dealing with that.
yeah.
That's from my heart. I'm sorry about that.
No, you did. I think you did great. And community always helps because people usually have similar experiences and they can tell you what they did. But
Yeah.
I always think um, they're watching. They're watching everything you do, and they're waiting to see how it's going to turn out.
Gosh, I
So,
hope not.
well, I'm saying the
Really?
family members are
Yeah,
watching.
I know, but isn't that
Yeah.
seems like that's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
What I'm saying is it's your chance without saying anything to show
That's right.
them
Live it.
something that can help them. And by
Yeah.
showing them that you can do this, and it doesn't matter if you have their support or not, and you're not going to engage in any kind of banter with anyone, you're just going to chug along like everything is good, and I'm just doing my thing, and not bring it up as a topic of conversation, just make it normal. For
Yeah.
me, I have found extended family members after years slowly are starting to ask me about
Isn't
this,
that something? That's
right?
fantastic.
Right,
And
well, because
yeah.
I just keep doing my thing, and then when they say, "Wow, this is not just a thing that the person's doing, this is a lifestyle, and look at them. Look how much time has gone by, and I'm not doing as well, and that person seems to be doing better." So,
Mm.
and maybe there is something to this. So, you're just the shining
Yeah.
example, and you can make a change and help people in their mindset just by
Well
just keep
said.
chugging along. That's how I
Well
feel.
said. I think that's a really good way to put it too. Just keep living it. Keep doing it and
Mhm.
just be true to yourself.
Yep.
Remember, you're doing this for yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and keep yourself immersed. Watch my broadcast and hop on to what C is doing, and just for me, every day, I'm either reading or I'm listening to something about the lifestyle because it's normalizing it in my brain. This is just something
Mm.
that's normal to do, and it's counteracting against the commercials or the billboards or whatever else that I'm being exposed to. That this is and if I'm just always immersed in listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos or being a part of community, then it just makes it normal, and it does get
Yeah.
easier. It really does.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it does. And I think it gets easier, Amy. I think you're right about that. It gets easier because we become more knowledgeable about our why.
Mhm.
The more you can define your why, the more you're likely to stick with the choices you're making. But you have to know why you're doing it. It has to make sense to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I've heard somebody say you should pick the why that makes you cry.
Oh,
So, maybe not literally cry, but it shouldn't just be this thing that you take lightly. It should be something that really is showing you that you have something to be committed to doing. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
Well, Green Warrior, please click like to show your appreciation what Sia shared with us today. And Sia, please tell us about this 6D and how we can find you on social media.
On where the only social media we have is Facebook and our YouTube channel. So you can find us on Facebook at 60 Living. It's a private group, so you just answer a few questions and say that you agree to be kind, respectful, and supportive in your comments, and then you'll be part of our group. Or you can go to our website, 60living.com, where you'll find a plethora of events from book clubs to programs to seminars to exercise programs, yoga with Andrea. So we've got a lot going on. Explore the site. Most importantly, if you have any questions about anything we've talked about here or anything on the 6D website, you can email me directly, balance@6dliving.com, and I'll answer and we can have a nice little chat.
Oh, that is so nice. Thank you so much. Victor Laviola said, this has been so inspiring. Thank you. And thanks said so inspiring also. So you're getting a lot of applause out there. And
Beautiful.
or just really having a lot of learning going on today, which is very important. That's why I'm here. I want to bring people who have a lot to share with us so that we can learn, because that's what is very important in embracing this lifestyle and finding out what the best way we can embrace it. So, Sia, I really want to thank you for sharing your incredible journey and inspiring us with your resilience and your dedication to the plant-based lifestyle. And I really enjoyed your story of your transformation and how you created the 6D Living, because that's just going to undoubtedly motivate many people to seek the light and the health in their own lives. And Sia, yeah, what's your final take-home message for our Green Warriors?
And thank you, Amy. Thank you for spending this time and inviting me here, and just for a lovely, lovely chat together. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's watching. And thanks for the questions. And again, anything you need, just reach out and come over to 6D. We've got a community. We'll love you.
Wow. Well, I can tell that it is a loving community because you're in charge there. So we've got a lot of love and light coming from you, and this has just been wonderful. Green Warrior, tell us what you're going to remember from today. We learned a lot, and if you can put that in the comments as far as what you've learned today, that would be helpful to the other people who are hopping on later, or perhaps that they're looking for some answers and want to know if this is something that they should be watching, and I think they should. And I also wanted to thank Just Has Voice. She did the countdown and the promos. And Just Has Voice, tell us who's coming up next. I'm really excited.
Confused about how to improve your health and achieve sustainable weight loss? Dr. Joel Furman will teach us how to prevent disease, boost your immune system, and promote longevity. Get tips on detoxification, overcoming food addictions, and mindful eating. Join us on Wednesday, July 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
I just I have to say that I'm very excited, because in 2012, that is how I stumbled upon this lifestyle, as I saw Dr. Furman on PBS. So who knew that a little over a decade later, I would have a show and have him on as a guest. So I'm really excited.
Oh, darling, that's beautiful. That is wonderful. Well done. Excellent.
Well, I want to thank you, Green Warrior, for joining us today. Your engagement and support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. I really hope that you're feeling inspired to take a closer look at your food choices and make some positive changes for your health and well-being. Remember, every bite we take is an opportunity to nourish our bodies and become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And please stay tuned for more empowering content. Please subscribe to my channel and share my message with others who can benefit. Hop on over to Sia's channel that we have in the show notes. We have all that information for you there, because together as Green Warriors, we can make a meaningful difference in the world. And as a special thank you to all of you, I am offering you 5 free recipes, and they are SOS free, no sugar, oil, or salt. So just go to begreenwithamy.com/join, and I will be happy to send them to you. And I would like to invite all of you now to go ahead and take your right hand and grab your left shoulder, and take your left hand and grab your right shoulder. Squeeze, because that's a hug from me to you and from me to you, Sia.
I like hugs.
And if you'd please join me in the comments, you can type in my tagline as Sia helps me say it. Are you ready, Sia?
I think so.
Okay. Well, until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Thank you, Sia.
Thank you, Amy. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Green Warriors. Bye-bye.
Now you can get 5 free whole food plant-based SOS-free recipes from Be Green with Amy. Just click on the link in the show notes and Amy will send you 5 free recipes, motivational quotes, and more so you can be strong, be well, and be green.